Alrighty. We are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of Exploring Star Trek Discovery. I am your host, Average Joe, the Average Geek, and with me, one of my bridge crew. I'm sure the other guys will show up here soon. Pat Whitehead, how's it going, Pat?
All right, man.
Yeah. So, man, dude, that episode. I think it's safe to say that this is the episode where Star Trek Discovery catches its stride.
Yeah.
Like, easily the best episode so far. Easily. Welcome to everybody in chat. See, we've already got Michael Smith and Steven Stott speaking. How's it going, fellas? Let's have a nice little roundtable discussion today. Let's see how much we can get going on. Oh man, this episode just hit on all cylinders for me. From the name drop of the big captains in Trek history, to Harry Mudd, to the continuation of the tardigrade story, to the name drop of eugenics, Klingon disruptors that vaporize people in a single shot, now with extra stabby action. Like, it was straight up legit, man. Straight up legit. So what'd you think? What'd you think about the episode?
If I should quote someone in the show from tonight, it was fucking awesome.
Yes, the Cadet Tilly and her F-bomb. Easily the first F-bomb in the entirety of Star Trek, which is it took me by surprise, but it didn't feel out of place. Like, I'm like, you know what? Yes, Cadet Tilly. It is fucking cool. Oh, absolutely, man. Oh, so well, the story was fantastic. It was nice to see the evolution of these characters more and more. That was great. I love how they continued the tardigrade story about how what we saw last week. We spoke last week about how the various effects of using the tardigrade as part of the propulsion system, and how it goes against everything Starfleet had known and seen before. It goes against Starfleet's principles to use that. That came full circle in this episode, which was awesome. Even how the episode ended with the tardigrade, jumping to hyperspace or whatever it was, jumping across the mycelium network to wherever it was going. What a beautiful ending for that character, or for that creature. I guess it is a character, for all intents and purposes. It's fantastic. I'm kind of awestruck about how good this episode was. Like I said, it hit on every single cylinder this week. Full force Trek, awesome sauce.
Even got Klingon snoo.
Yeah, Klingon snoo. Death by snoo. All right, let's see. Where do we start? I guess we can just kind of start at the beginning, at a very awesome, very, very early in the episode, where Saru is, Lorca is being, captured by the Klingons. And Saru, who is a little bit feels like he's over his head anyway, although he's a very capable officer, is researching the other captains. And then we see, he asked a computer, bring up the captains of note in Starfleet history. And we see Robert April, which is a nod to the animated series. So there we go. Jonathan Archer, Decker, Philippa Georgiou, and Captain Pike, the current. So out of those five captains, three of them were captains of the Enterprise. That is awesome. It's really great to see all that just kind of nod to we knew it was existed in the Prime timeline and all these other characters are out there. It has its roots in Star Trek, but to just see those names pop up on that computer screen, I'm like, yes. Like, I squeed. It was nice to see Jonathan Archer get a call out. Robert April and Captain Christopher Pike. It was so good. I was so happy to see that. Steven Stott says that he was very surprised to see the tardigrade already leave the show. It was like 3 episodes, and now the tardigrade's already gone. So now that begs the question: is like, okay, so is Stamets now the navigator for the S drive, as they dubbed it in this episode? Is he going to do this every time? And if that's the case, how long until it kills him? Because it damn near killed him in this episode.
I think they, for predicting here, they were looking for a compatible species to use those spores on and everything. And it turned out that humans are compatible. Humans are compatible with the S drive. Uh, However, I feel like they could possibly replicate to the computer human brain patterns or brain, I don't know, brain waves. It's all electrical impulses. So maybe they can
Maybe.
find something.
Maybe. That's a very interesting way of looking at it. I mean, the idea. So the linchpin for the whole navigating the mycelium network is that it needs an upper level intelligence. And human beings being that upper level intelligence was great, and it kind of moved that. Oh, okay, so the tardigrade creature is sentient, so which is awesome because we see in a lot of ways, we see various creatures throughout a Star Trek. We see like the Horta, we see the sludge monster from Next Generation, or we see the Gilliam, or all these various species that are non-humanoid that are sentient. And when we see the tardigrade, which was great because at first it was the monster, it was the Ripper, and now it's like a de facto member of the crew. It was really great to see that story come full circle, and it did come full circle very, very quickly. It was a little surprising to me how quickly that happened, but so good.
Yeah, I mean, we we saw in the last episode by them using Ripper and how it was just messing them up. And at the beginning of this episode, you saw Ripper again. He was sluggish. He was barely responsive. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. I mean, there was only two ways to resolve this.
Yeah, he made that one jump, and it was immediately into cryptobiosis, as Saru called it.
Safe
The
mode.
yeah, safe mode. He's like, shut down. Like, I'm not doing this
Hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
I'm loving how Discovery is tackling those kind of deep issues that Trek has always tackled. Um, yeah, it's not episodic. We're getting the longer meta arcs, the longer serialized story, but we're still hitting Trek within that, which is so great to me. This episode was so good, so good. All right, so let's talk about. I guess let's talk about Harry Mudd. Oh man, Harry Mudd, as played by Rainn Wilson, was straight up as close to the original series Harry Mudd as you can get, and I loved Rainn Wilson's performance as Harry Mudd. He was menacing and smarmy, and he, in a lot of ways, he feels like a Star Wars underworld kind of character. It's like Harry Mudd. You can like take Harry Mudd out of one universe, plop him into another universe, and he would still be that awesome kind of, you know, dastardly underworld type.
yeah,
You
for
know,
that is it.
it's really cool how he was using the little recording, the recording device on the back of the little insect creature.
What
Stanley, I believe his name was. Yeah.
he called him Stanley, and
Uh,
then in the original series, it's like a Bugsley. That little insect was with him originally.
yeah.
Uh, they just kind of changed the name for for Discovery. Um,
On the Enterprise.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Had a different name though. I don't know if it was Stanley or not, but it was definitely nice to see
Bugsley,
that
something like that.
creature come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of see with Harry Mudd, you you kind of see the beginnings of Harry Mudd. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
I love the foreshadowing. You know, you haven't seen the last of me, Archer. You know, it's like, oh crap, you're coming
Yeah,
back.
Lorca. He's like, you haven't seen the last of me, Lorca. I will find you, Gabriel Lorca. Oh,
Yeah.
so good. Steven Stott mentioned he played it on point, typical opportunist. You love how he mentioned Stella. That was a great nod to Trek canon. You know, Stella, the great love of Harry Mudd, bought her a moon and then couldn't pay for it. Like, this is so good. And like I said, I love Rainn Wilson's performance. It was so spot on. It's so true to the original series character. I think the big complaints that people are having about canon and the supposed deviations away from canon are slowly but surely being chipped away. Like, yes, this. Okay, so we're using an experimental drive. We've got an experimental drive on an experimental ship. Why? Well, this was never mentioned in the original series canon. Rah, triggered. You know, but that's okay. It didn't have to be mentioned in the original series for it to be canon. Dude, it's taking the core of the canon that we know and that we love, and then expanding upon it in such a wonderful, wonderful way. And it's not really violating anything. It's just telling new story. And this episode just nailed it, knocked it out of the stinking park completely. Love the continuation of the tardigrade story, and that whole sequence when they are in, you know, and you've got Burnham, Stamets, and Tilly side by side, and they're talking straight Trek techno babble, and I'm like, oh yes, I didn't know how much I had missed straight up Star Trek techno babble, and it was all just easily understood and awesome. It wasn't like man, like omega particles and, you know, like Voyager level technobabble where it just kind of lost all semblance of science and to make any kind of sense whatsoever. This made sense, and they explained it in such a way. And it was such a subtle way of explaining the mycelium network across the universe. That, like, okay, you know, like after the past couple of episodes, we're trying to figure out. There's a lot of discussions on the web, like, okay, how does this system work? How does the spore drive work? And there's a will. Where there's a will, there's a way.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
How much?
So what'd you think, Will?
Wow, a lot better than what I thought it was going to be.
Oh man, dude, they knocked it out of the park this week.
They did.
Some really, really cool things happened this week. We'd already discussed a little bit the name drop of the great captains in Trek history.
Finally,
April.
April is canon now. Finally.
Yes, April getting the love that he deserves.
Yes.
That's so good, man. April, Archer, Decker, Georgiou. It's nice seeing Georgiou on the same list as April and Archer and Pike, Christopher Pike. Oh man, I loved it. I squeed. I really did. We spoke briefly of Harry Mudd and Rainn Wilson's performance of Harry Mudd. What did you think of that?
Fantastic. Almost acted completely like the original character. With a little bit more.
Absolutely. Oh man, you can just
darker,
take.
But yeah.
Yeah, you can like give him a shave, you know, get some beeswax in his mustache.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
And it's like, oh, there he is. Yes. Oh man, it was so good. We spoke briefly about the continuation of the tardigrade story, about how, you know, we spoke last week and the week before of how Starfleet may have been losing itself and using the tardigrade for, you know, in an experiment, you know, and now there's evidence that the tardigrade was sentient, and that immediately rubs Starfleet the wrong way. And they're like, you know what? No, we can't. Like, we can't, you know. And then Saru going, oh, well, what are you going to do? You're going to do this on human? Eugenics is forbidden. So great reference to, you know, the eugenics wars and all of that. So that was awesome.
I just saw this bit of a jerk talking about just wake it up. I'm like, really? Like, it's that simple? Really?
But I understood where Saru was coming from. Like, I got it. I got it. I really did. Like, I wasn't hating on Saru at all for making those decisions, for making those choices. He had to do what he had to do with the situation allotted.
Well, I had the idea that they're probably not going to get out of Klingon space because the tardigrade was completely useless at that point. You know, so that would have
Absolutely.
been a good little story arc about the Discovery getting trapped in the Klingon space. That would have been awesome.
That would have been pretty interesting, and it had to, go to high warp and then literally fight its way out of Klingon space.
Yeah,
But luckily the spore drive kicked in, and God, that spore drive is so awesome.
yeah.
It's really, really cool. Like, I mean, obviously, something has to happen to where it doesn't work in the future, or the technology is lost, or maybe it's outlawed. Maybe it's just straight up outlawed by the Federation because it has to be run by a sentient, and the sentient is put under too much strain because it damn near killed Stamets.
Yeah.
So and it's not something that. Then it kind of makes you wonder, like. Yeah, it's really good. There's so many questions for this episode.
Yes, there is.
I'm really kind of fanboying it up. I really am. Definitely. All right, so I'm trying to like go through kind of like rapid fire and hit all the really, really cool parts.
Okay, then let's do this. Let's go to let's Lorca getting captured, and we already talked about Harry. We already talked about Harry Mudd. So let's just get to how to Klingons treat prisoners.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was really cool. How you can choose to throw your cellmate under the bus, to prevent them from kind of bonding together and becoming a real threat. The Klingons in this series are completely menacing, damn near a little bit scary, and that is so awesome. I love it. Love it so much.
The captain of that Klingon ship, man, she was cool.
She was pretty cool. Like, she's the descendant of spies and infiltrators, so her English is very good. It's so great. And I kind of feel like there was almost a callback to Picard, under the interrogation by the Romulans. There are 4 lights. When they pulled Lorca's eyes back and they showed the bright lights in his face. It's a little bit of a callback to Next Generation right there.
There are 4 lights.
Yes. All right, can we talk about how awesome those Klingon rifles are?
Oh yeah, with the barrettes on the end, or the
just straight up vaporizing people, like full on disruptor vaporizing people. So good. And then I love how they got the blades in it, so you shoot somebody and you miss, you just stab them. It's very Klingon. Very, very Klingon. And yes, Steven Stott, the Klingons should be frightening. At least in this part of the timeline. When we go forward 100 years to Next Generation, after the war and after decades and decades of diplomacy and cultural exchange and stuff like that. It's cool that the Klingons are softened in the Next Generation. That's really, really cool. But right now, at this point in the storyline, this is the Klingons we need. And we need our Dark Lord and Savior to throw in on this conversation. And speak, and he shall appear.
Behold, the Dark Lord has arrived. I am unable to fill you in as to my previous whereabouts. Starfleet General Order 66 prevents it.
It's a black alert.
But yes, I love these Klingons. I love them. They are so brutal.
Yeah,
They are so...
You could tell that all four of us really loved this episode because we all had this like shitty grin on our face. like, okay, this episode was great. This episode was so good on so many levels. It didn't misstep to me at all.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have mentioned. I don't know if you guys have mentioned that already, but just a very quick little snippet there. The list.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Robert Pike is now, or excuse me, Robert April is now canon.
Out canon. Yep.
Pulled out of the animated series and into Star Trek proper, where he belongs.
Anybody notice they put Willard Deckard's name up there?
Yes. Oh man, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with this episode. It was great seeing Georgiou on that list. Right beside, Captain Pike and Archer. It's so great seeing having Archer, get some love in Discovery.
Yeah,
Archer doesn't get the respect he deserves. Archer had a lot on his plate and pulled through.
He sure did.
Famously. Archer had to do a lot that no other captain in the future of Starfleet ever had to do. If it wasn't for Jonathan Archer, there would be no Starfleet. There would be no Federation. Archer needs all the love Archer can get.
I do agree.
All right, so we've talked about a lot of the stuff that kind of we just kind of like nerded out for in the first 20 minutes of this episode. Let's just talk about Star Trek Discovery as a whole right now. This is the episode. Episode 5 is the episode that Star Trek Discovery, figures out what kind of show it's going to be. It is the episode that the show found its stride and is full running from here on out. What do y'all think?
I agree.
Everybody speaking at once.
Kevin agrees. I'm like, yeah. It sets the show up for a lot of things. Like the biggest question: what to do about the S drive? What other human's going to be in it? Going to be, hey, you're going to be our S drive guinea pig for the rest of the show. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll stick myself with some alien goo and stand inside of a cylinder so you guys can jump anywhere. Yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen like in the future. So Stamets, like we haven't even talked about the end of the episode yet. Like that's going to be a separate conversation because the implications of that are far-reaching and complicated, and always end somewhere where there's a Terran empire.
Yeah.
Going back to Discovery as a whole, I think they've really traded a lot of optimism for realism, which I think this is what Star Trek needs right now, a lot more realism. And, I mean, sure, they're going to probably touch on some optimism here and there throughout the series, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm just taking it from an episode-by-episode basis right now. There's a couple episodes that could have been a little bit stronger, but this one, I agree. It put it on the map, and if this is the direction it's going to go, then I'm happy for it because the first season of Next Generation, there was a few episodes there that are kind of questionable. I think every new series has those episodes, especially in the first season. So I don't know if we've actually reached that low yet, but the way I see it right now, this is just a great episode. It really exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, likewise. I think out of the first 5 episodes, the weakest episode was the premiere. That first part of the prologue, and not that it was bad, but like compared this episode to the 4 episodes that we've seen before, this episode was made some really great science fiction and some really great Star Trek. And it's really like I am a Lorca fanatic. I am all about some Gabriel Lorca. You know, like he's not the captain the UFP deserves, but he is the captain the UFP needs. Gabriel Lorca is the Federation's Batman.
Well, Lorca has a set of nuts.
He really does.
I mean, he's like when Mud told what's his name, the truth, well, one half of the story. Lorca said, yeah, I was the only one to survive because I blew my ship up.
Yeah. You know, it's like I am not letting my crew get captured and fucking eaten by Klingons. You know, because we can't forget they eat their victims. It is now established. You know, we knew from the previous Trek that they would eat the heart of the people they defeated, but you know. They eat people.
It's not gawk anymore.
No, and they prefer their food live. So we kind of got to go. Okay, so are they eating people alive? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of cool though.
But kind of cool though. Absolutely, yes.
Has it been confirmed that they actually on Kronos, or was that just last week's episode because people in the sarcophagus ship were running out of food? And they kind of had to resort to cannibalism on counterparts.
Bless you. Well, it wouldn't be cannibalism because they're not eating other Klingons.
Klingons, yeah.
So, but I don't know. I guess that's TBD, to be determined about because we know in the other Trek series that they do eat the hearts of their people, of their enemies. So did they just eat Georgiou because they were starving, or did they eat Georgiou through some kind of, you know, some ritual like we see from like headhunter tribes here on Earth? We don't know yet. We don't know.
And the most important question is, does it taste like chicken?
Steven Stott says that he thinks that it was the dire circumstances because they were stranded. Maybe. I don't know. I kind of hope they revisit that in the future. We'll see. Let's see. So, Lieutenant Ash Tyler. Lieutenant Ash Tyler was called Soldier. That's a very specific use of a word. So, is Ash Tyler, is he a modern Mako? Or what the Makos evolve into?
Good question.
I mean, isn't it what any captain would call another? You know, in wartime when they call any military personnel, you know, what are you doing here, soldier? You know?
I mean, maybe, but usually not in Starfleet. Soldier has a very specific connotation, and soldier kind of using the word soldier kind of denotes infantry in a lot of ways.
Well, I'm just thinking in the sense of Lorca. I mean, he's whole hog in this war. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's full military.
Yeah, he's I mean, he's even talking smack to his admiral friend. You know what I mean? So I mean, we don't care.
Yeah, like that's why I'm a big fan of Lorca. I really am. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because he had a different jacket. Like the jacket he was wearing isn't the Starfleet uniform. It was kind of like a leather duty jacket kind of idea. I don't know. It was different than the standard uniform.
So, Joe, thank you for clarifying that it's Ash Tyler because I was calling him the Star Trek's Poe Dameron the entire episode.
The black leader. Star Trek's Poe Dameron. Say, all right, Oscar Isaacs is here.
The person to join the Discovery crew and take the place of what's her name,
Landry. Yeah. He might be the new Landry.
He might.
Probably be half as dumb. because I mean she deserved to die. I mean,
Well, this is what I take on Landry. It's like, they didn't even like shed a tear for her. Really, I mean, it was like, Tasha Yar got better treatment than she did.
kind of makes you wonder, like, was she just like the bitchiest person in Starfleet? Did nobody
Right.
like her? Did nobody care?
Well, I mean,
Doctor didn't care.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Landry's dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
I mean, Lorca basically said, don't let her. Let's learn from her death. Don't let it go in vain. Let's move on. Like wow, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like you just so you jettisoned her into a tube and went on back to biz. Okay, that's cool. All right.
Yeah. Well, we got some interesting numbers this week about the crew complements and stuff of the Discovery. So the crew complement, including Lorca, is 135 people.
Kind of low.
Kind of low. That's like, what is that? That's like 15 people more than an Intrepid class.
Hmm.
So,
isn't it like a Connie's complement like 400 and some change?
Yeah, the Connie, original series, the Connie was like 260. I think.
Okay.
I think it was between 200 and 300. I think. I'm sure somebody in chat will correct us.
Fact check it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody in chat could bring up the crew complement of a Constitution, that'd be pretty awesome. They compare that to the Discovery, because under the Intrepid class had a crew of like 120 at the time of Voyager's launch into the Badlands. Then like 50 of those people died and they were replaced by the Maquis. But so have we got dimensions yet for the Discovery? Do we know how big of a ship it is? Because it doesn't seem like it's a huge ship.
It's
like
I think it's named now as a Crossfield class ship.
It is a Crossfield. That is canon now because we got a shot of the registry plate on the bridge last episode. So it is a Crossfield class. Man, let's see. It's probably because, like Stephen Stott says, it's probably because the ship is officially a science vessel, so it may have something to do with the size. Constitution is a crew of 430. Okay, so yeah, you were right there at that, Will. So this ship is definitely much smaller than a Constitution class. I think that could be pretty much established. Yeah.
I mean,
how about that?
Do you need 200 to 300 people on the ship? I mean, dude. I mean, I get the different classes of ships and what their purposes are, but in the sense of in the whole thing of the Klingon War, who cares? You got a ship, use it, roll. You know.
Right. Well, I think that the crew sizes are also a complement of how the engineering systems work in this era of Starfleet, because the warp core isn't like the warp core that we see in Next Generation and Voyager. It's a lot larger system that has a lot more engineering around it. Somebody booting their computer like right in my ears. I'm like, ah! But
sorry guys, it just happened.
Oh, you're good. But like if you look into the engineering systems of the Constitution class, like there is a central warp core, but the cooling tanks necessary for it and the periphery around that warp engine requires a lot more personnel to run it, as opposed to like Geordi LaForge and 5 other people in engineering maintaining and watching the entire systems of a Galaxy class. Or B'Elanna Torres and like 2 other people of the Intrepid class in engineering at any given time. The systems are a lot more complicated and in this particular era of Starfleet, at least the Cochrane drive is. So that's just maintaining the Cochrane drive. Then we don't know how many people it takes to maintain the Spore Hub drive or the Displacement Hub Spore drive, and this was the S drive, as it's now known.
Well, you don't see a whole gamut of individuals in that engineering room. So
it's true. That's true. It seems like the engineering room that we actually see on the Discovery isn't like the engine compartments. You know, it's like we could see back through the window and we could see back beyond it where the Cochrane drive, the Cochrane warp drive is back in the back, but we don't see around the Cochrane drive. You know, we don't see what's going on to support that Cochrane drive. The engineering that we see in Discovery is a small portion of that is surrounding the S drive portion of it, or at least the interface where the intermix chamber, I guess we would call it, just for, you know, because it sounds Trekkie, where you plug the tardigrade or Stamets into it and navigate. But we don't really see the periphery systems. We haven't seen the systems yet that actually allow the two concentric rings to counter rotate from one another. Because once the outer rings move in one way, the inner rings move in the other way. So there has to be a large support system for those engineering complexes on the ship. So I'm willing to bet that, you know, a third of the crew is engineering, a third of the crew is science related, and then that last third is split between medical and command. Maybe. And all good episodic and serialized science fiction. We'll get more and more of the ship's details as the episodes progress. But we got that official number.
Plus, we have to remember that pretty much every station on these ships has to be manned 24 hours a day.
Absolutely.
Like the bridge, and sick bay has to be manned. Everywhere has to be manned 24 hours. So you have to 3 8-hour shifts. Then you need X number of people for each shift.
Yeah.
A, team B, team C. Got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I would propose the name. I would propose the name TARDIS statement for him now.
Say that one more time. You're breaking up.
Since he injected himself with the tardigrade DNA, I would propose the name TARDIS statement.
TARDIS statements. That sounds very close to TARDIS. Oh man, I wanted to see that jumping effect all the time. Like I need to find a GIF of that so I can look at it because it's wild. I mean, it's wild how that ship just like spins and then just disappears because it looks like it like spins twice and then vanishes. So, man, I loved this episode.
Well, we now know that the Klingons know of the Discovery, they know of the Lorca, and
but they have no freaking clue what the propulsion system is.
Well, no, they don't. That's why they tried to capture him and rip it out of his head. So,
yeah. I kind of would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Lorca's interrogation sequence. You know, we see the strap the eyeballs like a Clockwork Orange style, peel his eyeballs back and blast him with light, but we don't see a whole lot beyond that. I wonder why. Like, how intensively was he questioned? Did he, you know, what happened? I need to know. I don't think he cracked it all.
No, he didn't.
No, definitely
no,
not.
he didn't. He was talking smack. So.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that the Admiral asked him why he didn't get his eyes fixed, which means there is a cure for the condition.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I wonder if it's a little bit of self-punishment for his failures on the Baran. Now we know the name of his previous ship, the Baran.
The
So maybe it's a
Baran?
little self-punishment. Yeah, maybe it's a little self-punishment not getting his eyes fixed.
Little interesting tidbit: the Russians had the space shuttle called the Baran as well.
Oh yeah, you mean the space shuttle that it can never get to work?
Yeah, they actually landed on the computer power only.
Yeah, they can never really get that thing into space. It's been rotting in a warehouse in Russia for 40 years now. 'Cause, Russia. Oh
Always on the cutting edge of ingenuity.
yeah, yeah, that's it.
Sorry to all our Russian friends.
Yes, yeah, commies. Let's see. All right, so we've been fanboying it up pretty hard. Was there anything about this episode you did not like?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I liked it all. So.
Well, I can tell you something that was quite shocking. Of course, I've already mentioned in chat earlier, but the use of the F-bomb, that was kind of unnerving for me, knowing that's the first time in Trek history you've heard that kind of language.
Yeah, but it was so fitting. Like it
It was.
And I love Stamets' response too, because she said, "This is fucking cool." Like Stamets and Burnham kind of look at her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And Stamets, without missing a beat, goes, "It's okay, Cadet. It is fucking cool." I cheered. I'm like, "Yes, all right, Stamets. I didn't like you the first episode, but you're growing on me, man. You're growing on me, Stamets. Stamets has got some giant steel balls. He really does." Was so good. And I like how Stamets, he took it upon himself to be the guinea pig. He didn't pass the buck to anybody. I thought Burnham was going to do it.
I did too.
I really thought Burnham was going to do it. And I kind of see in my head canon is Burnham and Stamets in engineering. And Burnham gets ready to do the thing, and Stamets goes, "No, I'm not making somebody else do this. If anybody's going to do this, it's going to be me." And he just ejects himself without any further argument. That's my headcanon for what happened in engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool. I guess we can go ahead and start talking about the end of the episode now. Let's talk about Stamets' journey and all of that, because this is a whole other can of worms moving into the future. So Stamets ejects himself so he can see the mycelium network, and he's speaking with Colbert at the end of it, Dr. Colbert at the end of the episode in their quarters, talking about how he could see the entire mycelium network and all of the possibilities that exist. Okay, that's awesome. That's some deep level sci-fi right there. That is really, really cool. And because of that, like the way the mycelium drive works, he was almost in every part of the universe at once. So imagine having that. Talk about a psychedelic mushroom trip. What's the psilocybin level in those mushrooms? Where he sees the entire mycelium network. You can see the entire galaxy and see all the possibilities. He's going to be a changed character going forward.
Oh, yeah.
Just by the nature of it all. And what if he gets addicted to this? Because all he's ever wanted was the ability to converse with his mushrooms, to see all of this. And he had this smile on his face at the end of the episode. Like, this is what he wants to do. So I bet we're going to have a little bit of an addiction story thread for Stamets and this mycelium network going forward. And then, of course, the beer. Let's talk about the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was way cool. So Stamets and Colbert walk off, to finish their night, and then Stamets is still standing in the mirror.
with a smile, bro.
Yeah, a very evil-looking smile. Very evil-looking smile. So, I mean, what's going to happen if the Terran Empire gets a hold of this technology?
Ooh. Good question.
It's almost like that scene. It's almost like it was like completely parallel, completely parallel. So yeah, you're right. Maybe they are working on some form of the technology.
Maybe.
Maybe they just been looking at the as you said in the Discovery chat before the show started. When I said, hey, parallel universe, evil afoot, you went, no, this is going to
See, I hadn't seen that scene yet. I had still had like a few minutes left in the episode.
Really?
Because that's why I said that. Because then at the end of it, I'm like, oh shit, that's what Pat was talking about.
Spoiler.
Because there is that whole thing. It's like, oh, this whole episode, this whole show exists in the mirror universe. Well, if it all existed in the mirror universe, why would they be Starfleet and not Terran? Why would they be good guys? There's a disconnect there that I don't necessarily agree with.
Again, but you saw that last scene. She was smiling. She had an evil smirk. So
yes.
Maybe in the flip side, Starfleet is,
in the upside down?
The big bad. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Or here's
maybe.
Stamets should have had a goatee.
Well, here's a theory. How do we know that the Stamets in the mirror isn't able to swap bodies with the Stamets in our universe?
Ooh,
through this myself.
I don't know, man, because you saw that.
That's a very good question, Kevin. Like maybe they switched places, so maybe Stamets in our universe is evil Stamets, and good Stamets is now with the mirror universe.
Yeah, but
maybe.
Why would he smile though at the end though?
Evil people can be happy.
Well, no, I'm saying. All right, you said this is invasion of the body snatchers now, dude. So I mean.
Or maybe the guy in the mirror can see through Stamets' eyes and see what he's doing in our universe. Or
maybe. We have no idea. This is all just conjecture going forward, but we know where it's going to end because it's already been spoiled, first by Jonathan Frakes, and then Alex Kurtzman kind of confirmed it, that we will have Mirror Universe episodes this season. So we're definitely getting Mirror Universe.
Now, Will said he hopes he wanted to see him with a goatee. Now, what's the stop when we finally get to the Mirror Universe? Break out the goatee. You know?
Yeah, see, I guess goatee is a goatee is the universal sign in Star Trek of evil.
Yeah. In tattered uniforms.
Yes, like ripped off sleeves and that like the Earth with a sword through it badge. Yeah.
It's also the sign of the alternate universe in South Park also.
Right. Let's see. Captain Archer 2 goes, I don't think this show takes place in the Mirror Universe. I just think that some of the characters are from the Mirror Universe. I don't know. I don't know if there's any evidence for that yet. I mean, it's entirely possible. I just don't know if there's any evidence for that. I guess we'll see. What do you guys think?
I'm thinking maybe quite possibly it could be another universe other than Mirror. Something we've never seen before.
There we go. Maybe it'll jump over to the Kelvin timeline.
Dun, dun, dun.
No!
I mean, this is just a theory. What if some reason when
I said Kelvin timeline and we dropped 4 viewers. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay,
What if Burnham, like, whenever she gets rescued from the prison ship, that she just didn't automatically jump to some kind of other time warp or something, and maybe because of all the technology improvements, it could be a cross section of different timelines all in one ship. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay, that goes very good with what Captain Archer just said here in chat. What would be interesting to see in this show would be something about the temporal Cold War.
Aha!
Aha! That's not a bad idea. Of course, Steven Stott immediately goes, "Oh no, not the temporal Cold Wars." LOL. But maybe this could be, something. Maybe. I don't know.
And it really makes sense, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look at all the sounds, all the sound effects, you see sound effects from TOS, you hear sound effects from TNG. The graphical information, it's like the red alerts that's from the original series movies.
Yeah.
You see it all just incorporated into one ship.
I mean, that is true. That is true. I don't know. I mean, there's so many possibilities, and with this particular kind of with the S drive and the nature of what the S drive does on the quantum level, it makes all of those possibilities. Mirror universe, alternate timelines, a parallel universes that we haven't seen. Flashbacks and interactions with the temporal Cold War. We don't know. But the cool thing about this S drive is that it makes it possible to tell any number of those stories. And I'm cool with it.
so the piggyback off what Will was saying. So say we do jump into the other universe. We're on a parallel discovery, and you think all this stuff is amalgamated on this one ship. So you're saying basically, that discovery is like one big temporal nexus where everything is just smashed together. You walk from one end to the other. You're in different planes of existence, or different universes, I guess.
I wouldn't say all that, but I mean, at this point, anything's possible. Like anything is possible on this show. Yeah, like I'm saying, no, I'm not shooting it down. I'm just saying anything is possible. And it is really interesting to see that there are sound effects from original series and Next Generation and Voyager, and artwork and things pulled from all these other areas. I think that's really cool. I think that was done like primarily so that no matter what Star Trek series is your series, you can jump onto Discovery and find something, a sound effect or a visual that makes you feel like you're home. You know what I mean? So I think that's why that exists on a design level. But from a story level, who knows? I tell you what, I'm excited to find out.
Here's an idea. Here's a theory. A little out there, but go with me. What if this ship is like an alliance of people from the different timelines? What if they've all come together and said, "Okay, we've all got these problems. Let's get one ship and get all these people from different universes on it to work together. Fight."
Star Trek Mandela effect.
Butterfly effect.
Bears thing bears.
Reality in this.
I don't know if there's any evidence for that, but I mean, it doesn't mean it's not possible. That's one of the really cool things about Discovery is that they're telling us new stories, and we're getting a lot of new things and new ideas, and yet it's still very much within the canon of Star Trek, which is so great. So great.
Joe?
Joe? The power
I
of
think he
live
lives.
television, people.
The alternate universe heads a stormtrooper helmet has disappeared.
I just left. Okay. Oh my god.
The power of live TV, people. Just crap happening.
Oh man, I can't stop laughing.
But like the one thing we did talk about was we're getting a lot of recurring characters in this show, man. Well, future recurring characters. Henry Mudd. I feel like that captain is coming back. You know, she got scarred. That shit got fried outside her face. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, she'll definitely be back.
So you got,
It's going to be the comic relief villain.
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of like Hugh. It's going to be the comic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey!
Hey.
Yes, door for you, Captain.
I had an EPS conduit rupture, and the whole console exploded in my face.
Saw you that stormtrooper helmet.
Like, no, like seriously, like the computer died. Like, shut down. All right. So,
fake blood on your face and going, oh.
Talk about multiple universes, and we thought that you went into another one.
Now that's some
Leave
time
you
there,
on
man.
City Alpha 5, buried alive. Okay, well, that was interesting. What'd I miss?
We were talking about how we've now met two going to be future recurring characters. You know, something Mud, and especially the captain of the Klingon ship that Lorca like fried her face. So
yeah, she's gonna be pissed.
Oh yeah.
Pissed.
I mean, I love the scene where she just walked down the corridor, saying, telling what is that dude?
Tyler.
Tyler, thank you. What she said? She said, "You think you're just gonna leave? You know,
Right?
all the things we've been through." He just jumped her and just started hitting her. I'm surprised Klingons like getting that.
He beat
getting
the
that hit.
shit out of her.
I thought she wasn't smiling for that. Though.
I mean, she probably got off on it. No, with
Yeah,
Klingons.
Klingon chicks, though. They like getting hit.
Oh man. Well, I tell you what, it's been an hour, so you know how that goes. So this was a great episode. All right, so we're going to end this episode the way we end every episode. We're going to ask the people in the audience in the chat room, and we're going to ask each and every one of you. All right, chat room, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the inner lights or the city on the edge of tomorrow, 1 being Spock's brain or the Warp 10 salamanders. Where would you rate this episode, Kevin?
Oh, I'm going to give it a 9. It was so good. And I have to say, the space station, the Federation space station that they were on in the beginning of the episode, so good.
Very cool looking. Very cool looking.
Yeah, a 9.
9. All right, Pat, what do you think?
I agree with Kevin. I give it a 9. I mean, knowing like it wasn't slow paced. but I love the continuation of the continuation and the ending of Ripper's story. I love seeing the inside of a Klingon ship. Another other than the revival ship.
And it's really cool it got named a D7. Let's say that real quick. We got the first D7 battle cruiser.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fact that a Klingon phaser is set to just fuck you up.
I guess technically Klingon rifles are known as disruptors.
Okay, thank you for the technical jargon. All right. Yeah, it was a good episode altogether, man.
All right, Will. 1 to 10. Spock's brain to inner light. Where's this one lie?
I'll go for 8.5. I think the breakout character of this, and I think we all can agree, is Harry Mudd. I mean, you have Dwight from the Office playing Harry Mudd. I mean, just on par with everything, with the name, saying his full name, just like the original character did. Just the mannerisms, the way he's just conniving and scheming. It was just on point. I mean, if there's one thing I remember about this episode is Harry Mudd. I mean, everything else is second nature to Harry Mudd, in my opinion, for this episode.
He nailed it. Harcourt Fenton Mudd nailed it. Next time we see him, though, I want to see him shaved and with some beeswax. A nice little. Yeah, I think we got to see that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I have to give it a 9. This episode nailed it to me. This episode was some of the best Trek out there. It nailed it completely. I got a video I've been working on about Michael Burnham. I think a follow-up video about Michael Burnham is needed and what's going down with her character. But I give this episode a 9, a solid straight 9. Great episode to me. All right, well, final thoughts, guys. Any final thoughts?
This episode was good. Can't wait to see next Sunday.
Right. Steven Stott gave the episode an 8, only because the capture, quote, seemed too quick without much explanation. Fair enough. Great episode, guys. As always, man, I love talking Trek with you guys. This weekly show is as much for me and my catharsis, so we can talk about this to shit on a weekly basis, so I can process each and every episode. And I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate everybody that's been watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please by all means give this video a like, hit that subscribe button. Captain Archer gave the episode a 9. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to bring this show each and every week. Discoveries on the air. Yeah. Cool deal. Thanks for watching. I am Average Joe, the Average Geek, and I've got my bridge crew here, Kevin Stallings, Pat Whitehead, Will Smith, and we will see y'all again next week. Live long and prosper.
Mm-hmm.